So, it has come to this. Saw 3. Let's talk, shall we? Saw 3 opens to Detective Eric. He's still in the basement. He contemplates cutting off his foot, but he just can't do it. So he breaks his foot with the back of a toilet system. He breaks it off with the chunk and puts it in the toilet. Anyway, he slicks his foot out and he starts to crawl out. And then we jump to Detective Carey, who's investigating a scene of another potential Jigsaw killing. And all the signs point to it, but it doesn't make sense for her, because she points out the door was sealed and the point of the game was for him to escape the room before the bomb goes off. There was no way for him to win this game. Jigsaw always gives you a way to win, and there was no winning here. So take it to that night, and Detective Carey is taken by a person in a pig mask and put into a ribcage trap. She has to dip her hand and ask to get the key and free herself from the trap before her ribs are ripped out. And despite the fact that she gets the key and gets the lock off, she can't get the cage off. And that's because it's been rigged. And we jump to Dr. Lin, who's having issues with this guy, and he's talking about divorce, and she leaves to go do her night shift at the hospital. And even then, she has to kind of like fought into going into intensive care. And she does, and she saves a kid, and then she's kidnapped herself. And she wakes up, she's strapped to a wheelchair kind of deal, and taken to see Jigsaw, who explains her game is quite simple. Keep him alive so he can watch the person playing the game. And she can go free. If she doesn't follow the rules, the bomb collar they're putting on her neck will explode. So that's what's going on. We're following a guy named Jeff. And Jeff is being put through a gauntlet. See, Jeff's having a problem where his son had tragically passed away. He was hit. I don't know if it was a DUI or if it was a hit and run or someone wasn't paying attention. But the guy who did it got off. And he's been fantasizing about killing this person, to the point where he's neglecting and kind of like verbally abusing his daughter in a way, because we see her take a stuffed animal from his room and he loses his mind over this. Like his daughter's not going through the same suffering, you know. We'll talk about that later, though. So Jeff's whole thing, the whole main point of Jeff's games is forgiveness. Can he forgive the people he's got to help, or will he let them die? The first person is a woman who's trapped up in this freezer and naked. She was a witness who wouldn't come forward to testify, so that would hurt the case. He hesitates for way too long before trying to help her, and she becomes a popsicle. The second person in this is the judge, who went easy. And he's going to be drowned in pig guts if Jeff doesn't burn his son's toys and stuff and get the key out of that. And he hesitates again, but this time he does save the judge. So him and the judge go to the third one, and it's the driver himself. And he's strapped up to this rack. There's a key, but it's strapped up in a way that if you try to pull it, the shotgun will go off and shoot the person trying to pull the key. And he kind of almost wiggles it out, and he doesn't get shot, but the judge gets shot because the judge is trying to help, and he stumbles in front of the shotgun, and down he goes, and Jeff once again is too slow on the rack, and the kid dies. And so now at this point, the Jigsaw he's on death's door. Dr. Lin had to cut out a chunk of skull to try to ease the bleeding. And we see Amanda starting to suffer some past here. She's struggling not to use drugs. She's cutting herself again. And she really does not like Dr. Lin. There's a lot going on there. But Jeff has completed his game. He is now coming to this room. And Kramer tells, I almost called her Linda. No, that was a character in Becker. He tells her to let Dr. Lin go. And Amanda pulls a gun. She does not believe that Dr. Lin deserves to go. And he keeps telling her over and again, let her go. And finally, Amanda shoots Lin in the stomach just as Jeff is coming in the room. And as we find out, Jeff is Lin's husband. And the guy we saw Lin earlier was the guy she's having an affair with. And in rage, because all this time Jeff has been collecting parts of a gun and a bullet, he shoots Amanda in rage. And as she's dying, Kramer informs her that this was her game. This was Amanda's game. Because he knew that she's been rigging traps and not giving people a chance, and she had to prove herself that she will give people chances when he's gone, and this is not just murder, because he does not atone to that. So now it's just a dying Lin and Jeff and Kramer. And Kramer tells Jeff if he can forgive him, Kramer could have an ambulance here inside of 4 minutes and save his life. Or he can take revenge for the pain he has caused Jeff and his family. And Jeff forgives him, but then takes a saw to Jigsaw's neck, which sets off the bomb collar on Dr. Lin because he's not listening to his wife trying to speak to him. And then the worst comes, he hits play on another cassette explaining how he failed and his daughter is in another room and he's going to have to play another game to try to find her. Oh no, I don't know if it's another game to find her or if she's just gone now. And that's how we end Saw 3. I got a lot of problems with Saw 3, but before we get to those problems, allow me to talk about the pros. I do think with what they had to work with, Tobin, Shawnee, and the woman who played Dr. Lin did a good job spinning the story. The traps, for the most part, I enjoyed them. They were pretty good. And I really kind of like the idea of having someone having to try to dig down deep and save someone from these traps instead of being in the trap themselves. And I feel like they had a better character who could have done this better than Jeff. I feel that who it should have been Agent Carey. Because it would have been so much better having a woman who has been studying every Jigsaw case and having people she knew being put through these tests, finding herself in the gauntlet, having to try to save criminals. Like, you could have just put criminals back in these traps, like you did a corrupt judge, a driver who got off easy, a witness who wouldn't come. You could have kept all those. You could have kept all three of them, and then having Carey actually having to try and solve these things because she's solved these games because she's been so involved in Kramer's life. And then you would have even kept Dr. Lin and the Amanda story going because you just call Lin her sister or sister-in-law, because I think she was involved with Detective Matthews already, so I'm not sure you could go the gay route. So I don't know if they could have, they could have just been bi or something, but sisters or something, you know. And then kept everything the exact same. And you can even have Lin shoot Amanda, like you could have the last game rigged because Amanda didn't want to see Agent Carey win. And then at the very end, though, where Jeff killed Jigsaw, have Carey forgive Kramer because she's smart enough to know better. And you end on a bit of a high note because this would have been a good way to end on the trilogy. And you could have had a moment between Kramer and Carey where Carey's like, yeah, you might not think of yourself as a murderer, but you're the one who put all of this together. You're the one who built all of these traps. You're the one who delivered these people to the room, which caused their death. Because at any moment, like even like the razor wire guy, he was really trying. He just didn't have it in him to save himself. Now, that's not his fault. He's not in shape, and we're going to talk a lot about that in future movies. But you could have had like the battle of ideals a bit, where Kramer's facing the music here from someone who knows better, different ideologies. And that would have been such a much better way of ending off with a third, which may have been the end of the franchise. There have been a lot of potential endings to this franchise. I just feel like they left so much better stuff on the table here for a guy like Jeff, who was an idiot, who never got his shit together in any of these. And we already had the bad ending in 1 and a bad ending in 2. A good ending in 3 would have done good to at least mix up the story a bit. But no, we have an idiot named Jeff who can't figure out anything. He drags his feet on everything, and in the end, doesn't learn anything. And it's just unsatisfactory to watch this idiot plunder through these traps. And yet it was all for nothing, because he didn't learn anything. And no one's ever learned anything from a jigsaw trap. Because Amanda was cheating in her games. So, 3 had potential. It really had a lot of potential. There are still some okay things with it. But with all the, like I said, with all the missed potential here to actually create a fulfilling story that you've been telling for 1, 2, and 3, Detective Carey's right there. She's been right from the beginning. And just C-, final opinion. Thank you. No waving today, obviously. Have a good day.